Okay, so I found four cases that apparently were invalid cases. However, the rest of the cases were accurate. So there was only four out of all the cases that I input that were inaccurate. And I explained to the judge that the arguments still hold, and she disagreed because the cases were inaccurate. So for the paralegal rates, that case, um, there's a Walker case in the Northern District of Georgia that sets a benchmark. So that replaces one of the cases that I had. Then non-attorney fees, that is replaceable by Smith, which is controlling. Then there's service interruption. They're still saying Del Rey is valid. I'm gonna have to look at the local register to pull that case up, even if I have to go to a local library, law library, to pull that information up. But it covers damages, it says. And then emotional distress is in dire, remains the gold standard. The cases are verified and binding in the 11th Circuit of Georgia Bankruptcy Court. And the cases that is saying that were inaccurate was is saying that the Flynn case, even though I verified this several times, I verified it on four platforms and it said that it was valid. So here is saying that it's not. So, however, there is a replacement case that is valid and my argument still holds. Regardless, the argument still holds. It's still there. The information is still here. Still here. So they knew what I was talking about, but they were like, nope, that doesn't exist. The argument doesn't exist. So that's that. That's one case. This case, replacement for Anderson, non-attorney compensation. That's going to be handled in the sanctions anyway. But it says that Anderson was invalid, but Smith is valid. That's why they have Eric Smith on the case, because I told you guys they like to violate my civil liberties, and then put attorneys or individuals on the case with the names of the cases that they're violating. So, of course, Walker in Colorado, they added her to the case because they had Corey Walker stalking me and harassing me at work as my boss. And so they just added a Walker to the case over at Fager Drinkle, because they have their interns in the law library going through cases, how they can terrorize and violate my rights. And the judges know that they're doing this. The judges absolutely know that they're doing this. So one of the cases is Walker. The other case is Smith. So because they put Eric Smith on the case. So there goes your Smith case. What I need to just start doing is looking up everybody's last name and then start finding cases from there, like I did on the Jackson case. Here it says replacement for Anderson is, of course, Smith. Allowed fees for non-attorney legal support services if necessary and reasonable, which was necessary and reasonable to use my business, Pro Se Powerhouse, to draft these motions and spend all this time correcting and updating motions for stay violations. Additional support for that case is Stewart. I'm pretty sure their interns right now are trying to find cases to object to the cases that I just pulled up, because now I'm giving them a head start how I'm going to refile this information. Then replacement cases for Smith, professional fees. Now here is saying, here it gives you Smith again. See right here, it gives you Smith, additional support, Smith. But then here is saying replacement for Smith. So here's a replacement for Smith, and then it gives you Smith again. So I got to look and see what's going on there. Holding, it says Stewart. So it's that's a valid case. Replacement for Smith, replace it with Stewart. It's a valid case. Approved fees for bankruptcy related professional services at reasonable rate, which my services are professional. So I need to be compensated for that. Let's see, replacement for Jones, service interruption for Comcast and Xfinity. That even though I have a I'm using another plan that they have that's separate from my home service that I pay for. Even though they're throttling or not providing the contracted service that I paid for, I need to be compensated for that. So the judge was like, "Well, if they're throttling, I can't, tell Comcast to, speed up it." Well, yeah, actually, you can. You can, because you're a federal judge. You can tell the federal government to stop. Tell Sefra Shaw to instruct them to tell Xfinity to stop throttling my internet with law enforcement. Maybe you can do that as a judge, because pro se litigants are not supposed to be harassed and terrorized by creditors. But they're not going to do anything of that, because that would be helping me out. They don't want to do anything to help me out, help pro se litigants. Absolutely not. So here, replacement for Jones. Uh, Here is saying is Del Rey's valid case. I'm gonna have to keep looking that up, but it's saying additional support, Jove, Engel, and IRS, because I just looked that up. So that one definitely is a valid case. So regardless of the fact, there are cases that confirm my argument, and the judge said that the arguments are invalid. But there's cases, even though, 4 cases that I corrected the motion. I corrected, and she said, a majority of the cases were still wrong. That's not true. Only 4 were. So if there's more, I would like to know which ones, so I can research and figure out what's going on, because this impacts me. This has to do with my home, my vehicle, basically my livelihood, because the United States government has nothing better to do with their time but harass, stalk, and terrorize people, which they're doing.